You're listening to LVB Podcast Show with your friend, advocate, and host, Alvaro.
Hello and welcome to LVB Show. My name is Alvaro and I'm very happy to be with you tonight. This is a new season. And first of all, I want to say I'm very happy to be back. It has been a long time since I recorded my last LVB show. I wanted to update you about what has been happening in my life since then. As you recall, I was working at Art Beyond Sight in New York City, and that was a very nice job that I got, and I decided to quit my job in August 2016. I decided to quit because I wanted to do something on my own, something as an independent person, perhaps building my own foundation or doing something else. After I quit, I thought for some time what to do next. I had in my mind the idea of creating a foundation to help people with disabilities. I studied that option here in Colombia, South America, where I am, and it was very complicated. It required much more financial aids, if you wish, than I had and that I previously thought about. And it required many more things that I didn't have at the time. So after analyzing every aspect of this option, I started to hear from friends telling me, remember that you have helped people with disabilities in the past with advice, with telling them a nice word in order to make them feel better in their situation. And many friends came up to me to tell me that, to remind me that. For many years, using online tools, I was able to advise many people with disabilities and their families as far away as Australia, the United Kingdom, or the United States. Which I forgot in a way, it was for me like it's normal to give advice, it's normal to motivate someone. And people started to tell me, no, it's not. Not everybody has that capacity of being able to listen for hours to someone and then advise them to make a good decision in their lives. After listening to many people telling me this from everywhere, people in the US, people in Colombia, people in Mexico, people in Argentina, people in Spain, people in the UK, it was everywhere that they were reminding me that. I decided to study on my own, in an empirical way, if you wish, looking online. How could I help that gift that people were telling me that I had of helping others and make it even more powerful? so I could have a structure and a strategy to help people that would come to me and asking for advice, for orientation, for motivation, for mentoring, for coaching. So I did that. I studied for over 6 months on my own. Then I got together with psychologists and also psychiatrists and coaches from Colombia and from the United States that have worked previously with people with disabilities. They were the first to support me in this endeavor. And then I created my own website, focused on telling always the truth, talking about my past, my experience as a person with a disability, talking about my work as a disabilities advocate, and talking about my passion for helping others. A few months ago, the website was finished. You can find it easily. It's www.alvaro, my name, Alvaro, and I'm going to spell the rest of it. GUTIRRENZ, and then the letter C from Castillo.com. So when you go to the website, it is in 2 languages, in English and in Spanish. So you can just click on the American flag and you'll be able to get to the English version of it. The website has had the support of the Colombian Institute of the Blind. In Spanish it's called Instituto Nacional de Ciegos. With their support, the website is very accessible for screen readers like JAWS and Zoom Text. So you will have no trouble looking into this website on your computer, also on your tablet, or also on your Android device or iPhone device, because I have tried it and it works pretty fine. My service is as inexpensive as possible in order to help as many people as possible. So for our listeners, for anyone who may know someone who may need help, the service online for clients outside my city, outside Bogota, is $15 per session of about an hour and a half. This is on the phone. I use an international line, so I'm able to talk to the United States. Or to the other countries in the world, I use Skype or WhatsApp audio conversations in order to talk to them. I already have clients in the United States, and the other clients are in Colombia. But online, I have one in Colombia because lives in another city, and I have 2 in the United States that we talk every week on the phone, and has worked beautifully because they find in me someone that understands disability and problems in general in life. My life has not been easy, but I'm a very positive and optimistic person, as you know, and I always try to see the brighter side of things, and people recognize that. Now, it has been very interesting for our listeners because I'm receiving requests to help people with and without disabilities. And actually, I have a client here in Colombia that has no disabilities. I'm working with him, and he's very happy. So you could say easily that my service goes beyond disabilities, and it's for anyone that needs orientation, help, and motivation to find their own way, to, as they say, start a change in their life, like, for instance, if you have a goal that may be going to college, finding a girlfriend, finding a job, maybe creating your own business, I help you get that objective. And that's my goal, to make sure that you achieve your objective. You're going to achieve your objective, but I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to help you prepare for that. Because for everything you have to be ready. It's like, if you want to work in IT, you need to know about computers before. If not, you're wasting your time and the time of the people that are trying to find someone for their company. So my job is to get you as powerful as possible to get that job that you are dreaming about. The first session that I give online is totally free. It's about an hour and a half, where you're going to tell me everything that you want to tell me about you and what you want to achieve. And then I'm going to tell you, okay, so I would suggest we do this, that, and that. And then that's where you decide, oh, I'm going to pay the $15 per session in the future or not. Then it's your call. But the first session is free. So the name I use, the title I use, and this has been given to me by psychologists and coaches, is I am a coach for people with disabilities and for people that don't have disabilities as well. But I'm also a motivator, like a personal motivator that what achieves is a change in the person's attitude in life. The most important thing in life is not what happens to you, but it's how you react to what happens to you. If the attitude that you have when you receive the problem, when you're going to act on it. So that's what I'm doing in an independent way. I'm very happy I decided to do this. At the same time, I'm helping with volunteer work in some foundations here in Colombia. And I'm supporting certain projects internationally, giving support in social media, etc., for projects in the United States and in Europe. So I remain extremely active in the international community of people with disabilities, because at the end of the day, I'm certainly a disabilities advocate, and that's always going to be me. I have to say, dear friends, that I miss you all a lot. I apologize for the long time that has taken me to come back to do the show, but I needed the time. I needed the time because you have to be focused in what you're doing. I had so much going on working here for the New York-based organization, and then traveling to New York, and then at the same time I was doing a podcast to talk about applications that are accessible for people with disabilities. I was doing so much at the same time. It was too much, and after a while I was like, I need a break, And now I feel more powerful than ever, and I'm so excited to start a new season. I have been doing LVB shows since 2011, and it's been a pleasure, and I love radio, I love podcasting, and as I always say to people, someday I'll have a radio show on national radio nationally and internationally, and that's going to happen in the future. But certainly doing this podcast has been one of the biggest blessings in my life, and I want to say thank you to everybody who listens from the United States, from Canada, from Latin America, from Asia, from Europe, and everywhere else in the world. It's a privilege to receive every week messages from France, from Spain, from Australia, from America, from Latin America. It's unbelievable how many people listen and have listened to the show, how many loyal listeners I have, and I'm very blessed for that. Thank you so much to everybody. I want to also say thank you to Wasim, a wonderful friend of mine who is now my editor of the podcast. And he's someone that does not have a disability, but he is a great, great helper for the community, and he's helping me in this cause. He likes the show, and he supports this cause of raising awareness about low vision and blindness. Before I end this show, I want to tell you that I still have an iPhone 6 Plus. Apple decided to discontinue this device, which I respect, but I disagree with them. I think they shouldn't discontinue devices. They should encourage people to have many options of different devices. But actually, in a way, I understand why they did it, because it has a problem with the tactile screen. Even Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, recognized the problem, which means that with a lot of use, the screen is not as responsive as it used to be when you bought it. It is happening to me, so the screen doesn't respond as well as it used to. It has other little problems, and in 2018 most likely we'll get a new device. I have to say I'm not so excited about the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and Apple new iPhone 10 or X, whatever you want to call it, because in questions of features, Samsung and Google Pixel has even more features than these new iPhones, and the price is a little bit less than the new iPhone. So, to be honest with you, I'm considering going to the dark side, as some of my friends say, going into Android phones. I'm considering that seriously because of the price. You have to take into account that brands like Motorola, they are making great phones, like the Moto G, the Moto Z, the Moto X. I'm not sure if I just made up the Moto Z. I'm not sure if it exists, but the Moto X, it does for sure. Those are great phones. They are very accessible. I have tried them, and they cost about maybe $400, $500, $600 instead of about $900 or $1,000 like the iPhone does. Android has other advantages. I have found certain applications for the visually impaired and blind that are very important for us, and they are not available on the iPhone platform, on iOS, which is pretty disappointing to me. I'm going to be talking about those applications in this season. Hopefully I'll have guests to discuss this subject with me. And now you can find, if not all, most of the most accessible applications for iOS available on Android, like Be My Eyes, Blind Square, Nearby Explorer, for instance, Voice Dream Reader, for instance, this one, Seeing Eye, is being prepared for Android. It's going to be available probably in a few months. And then most of the applications that you have on your iPhone that are very important for you are available on Android already. So that's something to think about, my friends. Not all of us has the money to buy an iPhone, and if Android is good in accessibility, maybe not great yet, but good, and the price is 2 times less or more, you have to think about it, I think Apple is going in a direction where accessibility is no longer as big of a priority as it was. I think Microsoft is doing a wonderful job in Windows 10. I have to say for our listeners that I took my Mac, my portable Mac computer, and I made it into a Windows 10 machine, and it's working pretty fine. I see 1% total, and with an engineer help, the computer that I have with Windows 10 is 85% accessible, I would say. Where with the Mac, when I tried, it was 60% accessible, no more than that. And I had Windows XP a year ago, and it was accessible, I would say 67%. So with this 80 plus percent of accessibility that I have now, I'm able to do most things. There are a few things that I'm not able to do because the accessibility of the browsers is not perfect. And I don't rely on JAWS, but I rely on my little vision still with huge magnification from Zoom Text. But I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with what I'm able to do. And I'm going to be starting using JAWS probably by the beginning of next year. So that's going to help me a lot as well. And I'll let you know how it works with the Windows 10 machine. So, you have Samsung, you have Huawei, you have Motorola, you have Google Pixel, now that they have Google Pixel 2 that was released a few days ago. And to be honest with you, sounds much more impressive than the new iPhones. It has much more artificial intelligence on it. The Google Assistant is super powerful. It understands more the context of things, which I love, where Siri fails to do that in many occasions when I try compared to Google Assistant. I feel that Google is getting ahead of the game in that sense. I may be wrong, and now Apple will do something spectacular, but I'm waiting for that to happen. But for now, I'm a little bit disappointed with the way Apple is handling things in the last year. And we'll see what happens. But right now, I believe Google is a little bit ahead of the game. As always, I'm going to continue telling you a bit about applications that come out that are accessible for us all, and sharing with you my thoughts. And so that's it for now. If you want to be in touch with me, if you want to be on the show, my email is lowvisionbureau@gmail.com. Remains the same email as always. And I just want to say thank you so much for listening to the show, and have a wonderful night.